In Greek mythology, when a god helps a person, there's usually a reason. Aphrodite helped Paris because he chose her. Poseidon hunted Odysseus because Odysseus blinded his son. The love and hate of gods, usually simple, direct. But Athena helping Odysseus, that's something else. Achilles was stronger than him. Ajax was braver than him. Hector was more noble than him. Athena chose him for a reason most people overlook. In the Odyssey, there's a moment where Athena tells Odysseus directly why she stayed beside him. She says, "Because you are like me. You think, you don't act on impulse. When everyone else loses their heads, you are still thinking." Today, I want to talk about more than a myth, about what thinking means in a world that worships strength. Let me start with Achilles. The most gifted hero in all of Greek mythology, nearly invincible, fastest, strongest. We all know his weakness, his heel, but he had another weakness, one more dangerous than his heel. He could not control his emotions. The Iliad opens with Achilles' rage. The commander Agamemnon took his war prize, a woman, Briseis. Achilles was so furious, he did something that cost the Greeks enormously. He walked off the battlefield. Not because he lost, because he was angry. He had his mother go to Zeus, asking him to let Troy gain the upper hand temporarily, so everyone would know they couldn't do this without him. While he sulked, Greek soldiers died, many of them, because Achilles chose to prove his worth through other people's deaths. Then his closest friend, Patroclus, trying to inspire the soldiers, put on Achilles' armor and charged into battle. He died. Only then did Achilles return, not for Greece, for revenge. He killed Hector outside the walls of Troy, then tied Hector's body to his chariot and dragged it in circles around the city. This was no longer war. This was rage, making the strongest man do the least human thing. In the same war, Odysseus also had his moments of fury. But his story is about a different kind of choice. At the darkest point of the Trojan War, the Greek forces began to waver. Someone said, "We should give up. We should go home." A soldier named Thersites stood up before the crowd, publicly shamed Agamemnon, called him incompetent, stirred the men to run, abandon everything. Odysseus walked over. He didn't kill him. He didn't explode. With words, one sentence at a time, he dismantled that man's logic completely. Then he turned to the soldiers and told them why they needed to stay. The men stayed. No blood, no weapons, no display of power, but it changed the course of the entire war. Odysseus's weapon was never his fist. It was the fact that even inside fury, he could still think. That was Odysseus's weapon. Now, let me go back to that line. Athena said she helped Odysseus because he was like her. You think. You don't act on impulse. When everyone else loses their heads, you are still thinking. Athena is the goddess of wisdom, but she isn't just the goddess of being clever. In Greek mythology, she represents a very specific kind of wisdom, the ability to stay clear inside chaos. That's not the same as being smart. You can be very smart, and still, when emotion takes over, that intelligence goes completely offline. Was Achilles smart? In some ways, yes, but his emotions drowned his intelligence every single time. Was Ajax smart on the battlefield? Absolutely. But when humiliation arrived, his mind held only the humiliation, nothing else. Odysseus was not someone who didn't feel things. In the Cyclops' cave, he must have been terrified. In the underworld, seeing his dead mother, he wept. Hearing the sirens, he struggled against every part of himself. But he had one capacity the others didn't. He could feel the emotion and still keep thinking at the same time. In the Greek world, this wasn't what was worshipped. What the Greeks worshipped was strength, glory, courage. But Athena chose Odysseus. Let me say something I think needs to be said. Odysseus was not the most beloved hero among the Greeks. His cleverness made people uneasy. You could never quite tell what he was thinking. You didn't know how much of what he said was true. The Trojan horse was deception. Telling the Cyclops his name was nobody, a lie. His intelligence had a quality that made people uncomfortable, an edge. In a world that worshipped power, being clever sometimes made people pull away from you. There's something here that people today will recognize. A person who thinks before they speak, who runs through possibilities before deciding, who gives themselves a moment when emotion arrives before reacting. In a world that moves fast, this kind of person is often misread. Why are you so cold? Why won't you just say something? What are you calculating? They're not cold. They're not calculating. They're just still thinking when everyone else has already decided. That still thinking can be a kind of loneliness, because the people around you have already moved on, and you're still standing there with the question. Emotional management, a lot of people talk about this now, but I think the phrase has been made too light, as if it just means don't lose your temper. Achilles' problem wasn't that he lost his temper. His problem was that his emotions always arrived before his judgment did. Before Patroclus died, his emotions arrived first. I'll make everyone know they can't do this without me. After Hector died, his emotions arrived first. I'll make this city see my rage. Not once did he let judgment come before emotion. Odysseus was not without emotion, but he had a capacity that's very difficult to build. He could let the emotion in, and not let the emotion make the decision for him. Psychology calls this emotion regulation. Not suppression, not pretending nothing happened, but feeling it, acknowledging it, and then still choosing to think before the next move. This isn't something people are born with. It's practiced, again and again, in the hardest places, worn into muscle memory over time. Achilles was the strongest hero. He got his eternal glory. No one has forgotten him. But at the moment he most needed to think, he chose anger instead. That choice got his friend killed, and it got him killed too, in Troy. Odysseus was not the strongest, not the most noble, not the most fearless, but Athena chose him. Not because he was perfect, but because in the most chaotic moments, in the most terrifying moments, in the moments of deepest anger, he was still thinking. That still thinking in the Greek world wasn't considered a hero's quality, too quiet, too slow, too far from glory. But it was the thing that got him home. Athena, goddess of wisdom, she saw something most people missed. What truly carries a person to the end is not strength. It's the ability, in the moment you're most likely to lose your mind, to still be thinking. I want to ask you, the last time you let emotion make a decision for you, when was that? And if you could go back, if you had slowed down by 1 second, thought for just a moment longer, would it have come out differently? Because the world is never quite what you think it is. Wu talks world, Until next time,